Okay, so you're setting up your community forum in Circle.so, and you want to have the ability to assign people to different groups or levels where their access to specific types of content is restricted just to that group. You don't want them to be able to access anything else. Now, usually that would be because you want to charge different prices for the different groups or the levels. But it might also be because you want to interact with a particular group in a different way than with the other groups. So maybe they get more of you or your team's attention, or maybe they have the ability to just ask more questions and get more answers from you. Whatever it is, you need to assign members to different groups and make sure they have different levels of access. That's why you're wanting to be able to do this. And you want to be able to do it in Circle. So hi, I'm Trudy Rankin from Online Business Liftoff, and I'm going to show you how to quickly set up multiple membership levels in Circle.so. And now, obviously, before you do this, you will have wanted to think about how many groups you're going to have and what sorts of material or content you want them to be able to access. But the reason you want to do this is it's really important that you set it up properly so that you don't inadvertently give people access to the wrong content. So let's go to Circle and get started. I'll be using my own Online Business Liftoff community forum set up in Circle to show you what to do. So let's go there. Okay, here we are in my OBL community forum that's based on Circle. And I'm going to very quickly show you what to do so that you can set up your levels. Now, in my community, I have two levels that are very specifically set up. And I'm just going to show you based off of one of those levels how to go ahead and set up another level. So in my community, I have a group that's called Platinum Access, and they get access to some very specific things that the others don't. They get master classes, they get access to tech support and some other things. So what you want to do is the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a space group. And that's what they call it in Circle. It's a space group. Platinum Access is a space group. And for some reason, whenever you click it, it always drops you down. But here we are, Platinum Access. And in order to create another one, you're going to want to just gently scroll down a little bit with move your cursor down and move it around a little bit until you see this little plus sign pop up. Now, this little plus sign is the thing that's going to allow you to create a new space group. So you're going to click on that. And over here, you're going to see the settings for this particular space group. So let's just give it a name. Let's call it Silver Access. I'm making this up. And then you're going to, you can, if you want, you can create a slug or a custom URL for your particular group. And here I'm just going to call it Silver Access. You can call it whatever you want. And then you can click on this little permissions thing that turns off all of those things here. So this little arrow. So we're going to turn it back on, and we're just going to walk through them very quickly. Now you can choose to hide this new space group from your non-space members. So people who aren't a member of the group, if you turn this on, they're not going to be able to see the group at all. Now, the other thing you can do is when you turn this particular one on, it'll only show joined spaces in the sidebar. So if there's a number of spaces in the space group and people have only joined some of them, then they're not going to see the other ones that are there. Now, there are settings that you can set that allow people to just see everything that's in the space group, but you can also choose not to do that. The next thing you want to decide is, do you want to allow members to create spaces? And do you want them to be able to create any kind of content or spaces that have any kind of content, or whether it's by the guidelines or whether they decide whatever they want? If you want to give them that much freedom, you can turn that on. You don't have to. This is completely up to you. And then your next setting is to automatically add members to new spaces within the group. So if they're already a member of the group, the space group, and somebody creates a new space, then you can set this setting so that they're automatically added to it, rather than you having to go in and automatically or manually add people into the group, which can be a right royal pain, let me tell you. So that's a really good setting to consider doing. Now, the other thing you can do, and it seems a little bit back to front in some respects, is that you can actually get Circle to automatically add members to your space group when they join a space inside it. Now, it seems a little counterintuitive, but you can actually set it up so that people can access the space from outside the group. And if they join that space, then you can choose to either add them to the whole group or not. So you have to think about that carefully, because your payment plan and the way you've set it up may mean that you don't want to give people access to the spaces that are in your group unless they are a member of that group already. So you want to think about that. Okay, so we've made our settings here. We're going to come down here. We're going to click on this little create button at the bottom, and it's going to sit there and think for a little bit, and then it's going to actually create our silver access space. Now, once this is created, you can come in here. This is the silver access group, space group. Then you create the content. You click on create a space. You come over here and you can give your space a name. Let's just call this one-to-one coaching sessions. Oh, I might even just pick that because I've already had that in there once. And then you can choose to add members from the space group automatically into this particular space, which makes it so easy rather than doing it manually. Then you're going to choose the type of posts that you want. Do you want it to be actually posts, or do you want it to be events? And if you click on events, you can actually click this and turn this on to auto RSV space members to new events. So it makes it easy for people. If they're part of the group, they automatically get invited and are responding to that particular invitation. So for right now, we're going to leave it at posts. Now, you can set your settings for access to the information or to this particular space in 3 different ways. If you leave it open, anyone in the community can see and join the space. Now, that's probably not what you want, because if you set up your system so that you have multiple membership layers or tiers, and people have paid different amounts of money for those tiers or levels, then you don't want just anybody to be able to come in and join necessarily, unless you have it set up so that they have to pay before they can come in. So typically what you would do is you would set it on private. And this is where invited members only can actually see what's in this particular space group. So non-members can actually see a locked page so that they can see what's there. And that can be a really good way of enticing people to come and go, hey, that looks really interesting. What's in there? I'd like to know. Hey, I want to join. Where do I sign up? And so you can have it set up so that they can click a button and pay and join. But you can at least, that way you can let people know that it's there, but they can't see the content. Now, if you don't want people to even know that it's there, you can click on secret, and only the invited members only can see the actual space. The last thing here to set up is to decide how you're going to notify new members whenever any new content has been created. So if you click on email, then they'll get an email whenever new content's been posted. And if you click on in-app, then they'll get a notification inside the Circle app to say that there's been new content created. And it's just up to you to decide how you want to do that. Once you've done that, you're going to click down here, create space. And you now have got a space that's focused on one-to-one coaching sessions. And if you want to go back in there and change those settings, let's say you've used it for a little while and you don't actually like how it's going, you want to tweak some settings, you can either delete the space or you can edit the space, and you can come back in here and you can make the changes that you want to change. So that process also applies for the actual space group. So if we come down here to the Silver Access group, you can see that it's come back up here with this, and you can come over here to the little cog where the settings are. You can either delete the space group or you can edit the space group, and you can come back through here. Now, one of the things you'll notice that wasn't there before is that you now that the space group has been created, is that you have the ability to actually add a person in to moderate the group, and you can have more than one. So if I was to type in a person's name, that's a member, you could actually choose to just, she's one of our admin people, you can choose to just pop them in and make them allow them to actually moderate the discussions that go on and make sure people are following guidelines and make sure everything's okay. So you would then click save, and then that will actually set it up so that you now have a moderator for this particular space. Now, that's really literally all it is. And that's all you have to do in order to set up multiple membership layers or levels in Circle for your community so that you can then charge different amounts for them. So once again, just really quickly to recap, you're going to come down to create a new tier or membership tier. You come down until you see this little plus sign pop up. You click on that to create the new space group. Once you've created the new space group and set the settings, then you come up here and you start to create the actual content for the things that people are allowed to see. That's all there is to it. I hope that was really useful. So all the best and good luck with your community.